My Philosophy of Education, Laura Mitobi. In 24 years of teaching, I have never really thought much about what educational philosophy I subscribe to until this Foundations of Education class. As I have read the different perspectives this quarter, I surprisingly found myself identifying rather consistently with a progressive postmodernist frame of reference. This has given me cause to reflect on what I believe and what has influenced my position over the years. Looking back, I don't know if my views were shaped by my need to survive my first years of teaching or confirmed by them. As a new teacher, I taught a special day class of 7th and 8th graders. The students were bright but had many behavior problems, and as a result of suspensions, absences, and lack of attention in class, they were seriously behind academically. Instinctively, I knew that lecturing would not hold the students' attention, and one size did not fit all. Survival as a new teacher dictated that I get to know my students and treat them as individuals, and engage them in learning in unique ways. I was given no direction, textbooks, or curriculum because at that time special ed teachers were expected to innovate. One of John Dewey's tenets is that school should be that of shared decision-making with student-selected topics. It was obvious to me that authoritarian teacher tactics would not work with these kids. I had to customize my lessons to their interests, give them choices, and be the guide on the side. My classroom management skills were certainly honed those first few years. I borrowed textbooks from other teachers and set to using them as a resource to develop lessons that grabbed the students' attention. Little did I know at the time that focusing on the whole child, allowing them to explore ideas, make choices about topics, and the perspective from which they viewed those topics was rooted in progressivism. I was not aware that John Dewey saw books as tools and resources. One of the things we did every Friday in that class was videotape the news. The students spent the week preparing news stories from social studies and science, which required them to collaborate, read, comprehend, and produce synthesized evidence of learning. We discussed the consequences of war from different perspectives: Japanese, German, Jewish, and American. Students demonstrated compassion toward the victims of war as a result of their inquiries. Students that superficially exhibited hard attitudes softened and discussed feelings about how people were affected as they found ways to identify and empathize. A good number of those students exited special ed in high school. A few still keep in touch with me, and they are functioning, contributing members of society. I currently work in a blended education program where students are homeschooled, and most of their instruction is supervised by parents, and curriculum is delivered by computer. Students come to class one day a week. If you come into my classroom, you would see students working together, discussing and problem solving. Last week, students created videos about historical events, such as the Trail of Tears. I want them to experience history from the point of view of time, events, culture, and its effect on the present. As Giraud was cited in Sadovnik, Cookson Jr. and Simel, 2011, schooling must be linked to a critical pedagogy aimed at the development of democratic education. Students need to understand different voices as they are related to social and political change, and that students must be engaged in discovering alternatives for inclusion of marginalized groups. Dewey, as cited in Sadovnik, discusses school as a community or social institution. I have always, as a teacher, made every attempt to create a community in my classroom where students support each other, challenge each other's thinking, collaborate to solve problems, and inspire mutual growth intellectually, socially, emotionally, and ethically. It has been valuable for me to reflect on who I am as a teacher and what influenced me. I've discovered that my teaching style is not just my individual way, but embodies the educational philosophy of progressivism and postmodernism. A quote from Diane Ravitch says it all. To believe in education is to believe in the future, to believe in what may be accomplished through the disciplined use of intelligence, allied with cooperation and goodwill. If it seems naively American to put so much stock in schools, colleges, universities, and the endless prospect of self-improvement and social improvement, it is an admirable and perhaps even noble flaw.